Thanks, Adrienne. Hi, everyone. My name is Monsi. I'm on our product incubation team, which means I help take Pinterest's new products to market. I'm specifically focused on search, which is why I am talking to you today about how we can activate on search on Pinterest. So I want to start off initially by talking about the opportunity of search and just how we view search in general, and then I'm going to go into search ads on Pinterest specifically, go a little bit in more detail over the availability on Ads Manager. We've introduced a lot of new features for search specifically that weren't there previously, and then leave you with some best practices to keep in mind as you look to start running with search on Pinterest. So I want to start here with a quote from our CEO, Ben Silverman. He said, "A lot of the future of search is going to be about pictures instead of keywords." And this is really a great summary of how we at Pinterest approach search as a whole. Just knowing that we're moving more into the visual space away from purely typing in words. eMarketer released a stat that 75% of US internet users actually look for visuals before making a purchase. And I think everyone has started to notice those trends. Most traditional search platforms are starting to look for ways to incorporate visuals into their own platforms. We know that the images on Amazon help tremendously when making product purchases, and Pinterest is no different. We've seen the search landscape evolving in general over the past few years. Everyone's familiar with the shift to mobile and just the fact that there are so many more searches happening on mobile than desktop. Additionally, with products like Amazon Alexa, voice search is becoming extremely prominent. And then, of course, there is visual search, which I just mentioned. This is where we will be focusing on. Pinterest is a very visual platform, and this is a niche that we feel like we can really come in on and take advantage of the large number of visuals on the platform. So traditional search is great for helping out with very navigational searches, especially when you already know what you're looking for. For example, if I knew that I needed a headphones adapter for my new iPhone 7, that's a really specific query that I can go into a platform like Amazon, for example, type it in, and get exactly what I'm looking for. Or if I have a more navigational need, like I'm trying to find out where the nearest stores are, if I'm trying to find out where an item might be available in stock, that's a great option to go into a traditional search engine and type that in. Where traditional search falls a little short is when we're looking for inspiration or ideas. So for example, if I were to type in home decor or home decor ideas into Google or Bing, you get a large number of results, but the results may not be exactly what you're looking for in terms of inspiration and ideas. This picture that you see behind the phone screens here of a living room where there are paintings on the wall, cushions on the couch, potted plants, a table, this entire room can give a lot more inspiration than a few listings. This is the power of visuals, and this is where we feel like we have an important role to play. So let's take this table for example. I don't always necessarily have the words to describe what I'm looking for. I could say this table is a rectangle, it's light wood. I might not necessarily know what kind of furniture this is, like is it mid-century modern? What exactly am I looking for here? But with products that we have within Pinterest, like our new Pinterest camera, we can actually use the image itself to spark search results and help us find exactly what we're looking for when we don't quite know the words. So this is a really powerful visual technology that we have on our platform that we want to leverage in the future more and more to make sure we're providing you with really relevant search results as Pinterest search. So to summarize, Pinterest is all about visual inspiration, discovery. This is where we see the future of search going. To go into a little bit more detail of how specifically people actually discover on Pinterest, we have two modes that people are primarily using today. There's the browse mode where you are on your home feed kind of scrolling along the pins that come up. This gets catered to your tastes over time. So the more you indicate that you like something, the more your feed customizes to you. You can save images from here, share them, add them to your board. And then we have the search mentality. When someone actually leaves that home feed, leaves the browse mode, and goes into their search bar and actually types in something specific. Typically, we see a very high intent here because someone has left that browsing mode and they're clearly indicating, like, I am now looking for this. We have guided search tiles at the top. That's where you see the slim dark right under the search bar, where you can click in to actually narrow down your search. And as you do that, you'll see that the pins actually change to reflect what you have put in. As you zoom in on an image, you can actually use our visual technology to get an even more close-up on an item so that you can then go down further and see a specific product that you're interested in. This, paired with intent, can make it really easy for customers to convert and buy the product that you might be advertising. There are 2 billion monthly searches on Pinterest today, and this number is rapidly growing. One thing to keep in mind about how Pinterest is so different from other platforms is that with social platforms, we typically see a more closer behavior to the day of the conversion. People will share things that they see in the now. I might see something, share it right then. Someone might like it, they see it, and they might be willing to convert. Traditional search, there's a little bit longer time to conversion. But with Pinterest, people are actually planning months out in advance. People could see a pin on our platform and save it to one of their boards and come back to it when they're actually ready to act on whatever idea they might be building. So for example, if I was purchasing a new home, I might actually create a board for home decor, but might not be ready for it just yet because I'm still in the home purchasing phase. But I will save pins that are maybe about living room decor, about couches, maybe paintings, rugs, maybe bedroom furniture. I will save and gather these different kinds of pins for a time that I'm ready to go back and access once I'm finally in my new house. And this can happen months out. So clearly there's a huge search opportunity here on Pinterest. In addition to the number of searches, the planning mentality, trying to catch customers earlier on in their shopping path to really catch them in that inspiration phase. That's something that's really powerful, and we have an opportunity here. But how can we help advertisers take advantage of this? We want to introduce search ads on Pinterest. We've really been trying to bridge that gap to allow advertisers to take advantage of search specifically. And we have started to do this by introducing several new keyword targeting features in this past year. We're trying to bring in more traditional SEM features onto Pinterest as a platform. One of the ways that we've done this, first of all, is just by allowing placement targeting. Previously on Pinterest, if you wanted to advertise, you had to advertise on that home feed, that browse mentality, and the search page, the search results, so the searching mode. Now we can allow you to break the two out. For folks who are trying to activate in a painless, easy, quick and easy, just get up and running way, by all means, we highly recommend just going ahead and advertising across all placements from the beginning. For slightly more sophisticated advertisers who want to focus on search specifically, we have that option of allowing you to break out your browse mode for maybe a more social team and breaking out that search mode for a more search team. This placement targeting gives you more control over where your ad's going to show and allows you to capture intent from the search page. We've also introduced more precision when targeting pinners' searches. So on that search page, you can now customize your keywords by adding match types. This was previously unavailable. When you added keywords to your search campaigns, they were typically shown on broad only. Now we have broad match, phrase match, and exact match keywords Additionally, we also have negative keywords. We have negative exact match and negative phrase match to allow more control and allow some more granular optimizations. You can block keywords that are driving inefficient traffic and then zoom in and make a tighter match type on keywords that are driving efficient traffic. Additionally, we've introduced keyword level bidding and reporting. You can now modify your bids within an ad group. Previously, bids were only at the ad group level. So for those advertisers looking to get a little bit more granular in their optimizations, this new option is available. One of the most exciting features that we've introduced is search term reporting. People have always had a hunch that the way that pinners search on Pinterest is different than it is on traditional search engines. But search term reporting really drives home that fact. Search term reporting shows the exact queries that pinners are typing into the search bar, and it has been really exciting. It's been thrilling to see the difference in the queries that people are typing in here compared to what advertisers have seen on other search engines. For example, many advertisers are noticing that a large volume of the queries typed in contain the word idea. Further proving our point that people on Pinterest are really looking for inspiration and ideas. What's really interesting is that advertisers have been using the same keyword lists on traditional search engines for over a decade in many instances, and sometimes they will copy over that initial keyword list onto our platform and put it on broad match to see what it's matching out to, and they'll be thrilled to find that a significant portion of the queries coming in were actually not on their original keyword list. So it really is a unique pool of searches that is not being captured anywhere else. We've also introduced a new feature called auto-targeting. This is where Pinterest really takes advantage of our visual technology. We can use your pins we can compare the images in your pins to other pins running on our platform and figure out where to best serve your pin. We can suggest keywords that you should be serving against based on where similar pins have searched. We can also serve your pin against related images. This is a really cool, new, exciting feature that's pretty unique to our platform. That advertisers have found success on when they don't initially know which kinds of keywords to launch within their account when they first start running on Pinterest. In addition to keyword targeting, we've also introduced shopping campaigns. Shopping campaigns are a great option for retail partners. It's a great way for us to ingest your product feed and then mass produce pins based on the images within that product feed. The images look slightly different from regular pins. We typically put a price in there, and of course when someone clicks through, they go directly to the product page, making it much easier to convert. Once that product feed is ingested into our system, we start serving against relevant searches and allow pinners to go ahead and start shopping on our platform. To share some numbers from our initial alpha performance, our top retail partners experienced a $8 return on ad spend. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Pinterest is a planning platform. People start planning earlier, they're looking for ideas and inspiration, so it's important to try to broaden the attribution window to make sure we're capturing the entire picture of a pinner's shopping journey. So when looking at just a 30-day click window, the return on ad spend was $8. But when we layer on 30 days of engagements as well, we see that return on ad spend increase to $11. And if you layer on a one-day view on top of that 30-day click and 30-day engagement, return on ad spend actually increases to $31. So there's value in the engagements that people express on Pinterest. If somebody sees a pin, saves it to a board, we want to make sure we are accounting for that fact that someone expressed interest that way. If someone clicks on a pin and they close up to zoom in on that image and take a closer look, that's a clear signal to us that someone was interested in this, and we want to make sure that we are counting that. So this is just something to keep in mind. CPG is a vertical that has also activated, we have a number of partners who activated in our alpha phases. We have seen tremendous cost efficiencies within the CPG vertical. CPCs on average have been less than 50 cents, which is pretty significant considering that most of the volume on Pinterest comes from non-branded queries. So comparing non-branded performance to other traditional search platforms, there's just huge cost savings in that volume. Additionally, click-through rates have been on average between 0.5% to 2%. This is a broader range because of the visual nature of our creative. Pins contain images as well as text, and based on the products, the verticals, the actual brand itself, and the kind of creative that they've built out, click-through rate can vary based on how pinners interact with that image. We wanted to share a few success stories that we've seen on our platform with search specifically. STAINMASTER was one client that came in with a goal to increase their new customers. They actually experienced 90% of all the referrals that came through Pinterest were new customers in their carpet care category. This was huge, really exciting for the client, but not only did they get the new customers that they wanted, they did so at a 90% gain in cost efficiency because CPCs were so low. I've already talked to how CPCs are really efficient, but the fact that we're driving new customers is not surprising either. Pinterest uniquely generates new customers. Because people are in this inspiration mindset, they're not very picky about certain brands. That's why so much of our volume is non-branded, and they're easier to influence early on. Through a study with Datalogix, we learned that 70% of incremental sales came from net new customers. We also noticed a 10x lift in store for new customers than existing customers through Pinterest. So there's definite value if you are trying to reach new customers there. Another case study is with Carnival Cruise Line, where we had tremendous success in just seeing quarter-over-quarter improvements. There was a 14% growth in click-through rate specifically, quarter-over-quarter. I love this one because it speaks to how important it is to keep a campaign running for a few months at least. When you think about traditional search campaigns, many of them have been live for over a decade. They are being optimized consistently over time, and we continue to see improvements in performance. Pinterest is no different. When partners come to us and say we just want to start with a 1-month test, that's great, and we do get some valuable results out of running that, but it's hard to make optimizations over time when you're active for such a short amount of time. Pinners are constantly searching, and it's important to get learnings over a longer period of time so that you can see those similar kinds of improvements. Again, Carnival Cruise Lines was able to get these learnings through our platform at a significantly lower cost per click, which is just an added bonus. They saw 71% savings in CPCs compared to similar tactics on other platforms. So to talk to the strategy of trying to do a longer test, the reason that we really recommend this is because there are 3 different kinds of moments that you can take advantage of on Pinterest. The first one is the 365 strategy. People are searching for everyday items for just inspiration and ideas on a day-to-day basis. Layering on top of that, there are also seasonal trends that people search for. For example, holidays are coming up, and we're starting to see increased volume on holiday queries. Because people are in that planning mindset, sometimes we start to see trends several months in advance. So for example, football season starts in the fall, but we started to see queries for football season party ideas a few months earlier in early summer. And then, of course, there's the big activations and tentpoles. You can bring on unique pushes for your specific products or for themes that you want to capitalize on certain times of the year, and use moments in life to take to kind of reach people at those special moments. These three things combined together are really, really powerful, but the optimizations need to happen over time. So how do we go about actually getting started and running to start to take advantage of what I've been talking about? There's two current ways to activate on Pinterest. You can activate search through a marketing partner. We've integrated with Kenshu. Kenshu actually has a special integration where they can help you mirror over existing Google campaigns or Bing campaigns over to Pinterest to get a quick start. We've also partnered with other social partners such as Social Code, Unified. There is a much longer list, and if you're interested in learning about those partners that you work with, definitely reach out to your partner that you work with and see if they have an integration with us. Additionally, we also have several features that rolled out just last month within our Ads Manager so that you can activate directly through our user interface. To walk you through a little bit of what's available in Ads Manager, I'm going to first start with our timeline. So just this past month in October, we rolled out several new features that were previously unavailable that really help manage search specifically. So as we're bringing in more SEM features, obviously you want those controls in Ads Manager, so we have added in keyword level management at the ad group level. Positive keywords, negative keywords, all of that match type management, as well as keyword level reporting. We've also added in campaign level negatives and keyword level bidding. This is a rolling launch, so though many new features have already been put into our Ads Manager, there are more features coming soon. We have several launches coming up in the next few months, and so some things that are still on their way, things like search term reports within the UI, I actually do believe this just rolled out maybe even in the past week. We also have the auto-targeting switch coming within Ads Manager. Currently, you can only opt in into auto-targeting through a whitelist, but it will be available for self-serve very soon. We also have keyword level conversion reporting coming soon. Currently, conversion reporting is only at the ad group level. And then we have a flattened reporting view coming soon, which makes it really easy to dig through to the most granular level in your account. So you can see all ad groups or all ads or all keywords rather than looking at the campaign view and then digging in. So a lot of really exciting developments coming in our Ads Manager. To give you a preview into what some of these features look like in our Ads Manager, I mentioned that we can break out placement. So right when you first set up your initial campaign, when you set up your traffic campaign goal, you can actually select which placement you want to show on. As I mentioned, we recommend serving on all placements because that's a way to maximize your volume. But if you do want to split out your search and social strategy a little bit, you have that option to select browse or search. We can then, when you get into your campaign, we then allow you to add in your keywords. You can just copy paste them right into the keyword section, and we can you can use those operators to indicate what the keywords match type should be. So broad match is without any operators. Phrase match has quotation marks around it, and exact match uses the bracket parentheses. Really standard, on par with other search platforms. When you paste in your keywords, they can be either comma separated or have line breaks. And then just keep in mind that at this initial setup phase, when you're first creating your campaign, we don't allow you to add negatives right there, but we actually have a separate modal for you to add in negatives right after that. Once your keywords are in your campaign, you can dig down into the ad group level and take a look at how you can add keywords. So your initial keywords are already in here, but then if you wanted to, let's say, do a keyword expansion, you can just continue to copy paste keywords into this create keyword flow here using the same operators. And once again, it can be comma separated or have line breaks. Once your keywords are in there, you can also manage your keyword level bids. We have inline keyword bid editing. And then this is where you can also add in negatives. Right next to the positive keywords, there's the negative keywords option. You click that and you can add it in. We use the same operators, which means quotations for negative phrase and bracket parentheses for negative exact. You don't need to use a negative symbol or a minus sign or anything like that because you're already in the negative keyword modal. So these are all going to be added in as negatives. When you go over to the reporting view, you can see every keyword will have some metrics next to it. At the keyword level, you can see your front-end metrics, so clicks, impressions, cost, CTR, CPCs. We don't have conversion reporting at the keyword level just yet, as I mentioned, but it's coming soon within the next few months, so that will be available very shortly. You can see both front-end and back-end metrics rolled up to the ad group level. So if you want that conversion data, you can get it as granular at the ad group level today. In addition to all of this, we do have an Ads Manager bulk sheet. So there isn't a need to necessarily make all of the edits manually within Ads Manager. You can actually do it all in bulk. And our bulk sheet is very standard with the industry. It's a nested hierarchy structure where you have a campaign on one line, then have the ad group in a line under that, and then underneath the ad group have your pins and keywords listed out. When you're ready to start another ad group, you do another ad group line, and then again have the nested structure within that. And then when you're ready to start a campaign, you'll have a new campaign line. It's very standard with and similar to a Kensho bulk sheet, the Google bulk sheet, so should not be anything too different from what most search advertisers are used to. So with that, I'm going to move on to search ads on Pinterest best practices. These are some of the best practices that we have learned from our alpha phase of our product, and they're just great guidelines to keep in mind as you look to set up your campaigns initially. So first thing, and probably one of the most important things to keep in mind for Pinterest, is that it's really important to look beyond that last click. Pinterest is very important as an early touch point. This is a Newstar study that showed that last touch attribution undercredited Pinterest by almost 30%, which is really significant. Pinterest is really important in the first touch, not only for our own platform, for conversions that happen on Pinterest, but also across other platforms, because many folks get their inspiration from Pinterest. So if you're not there early on when people are planning and trying to get inspired, that can have longer term effects. Promoted pins drove a 28-to-1 ROAS and also 30% more incremental sales than the next best channel. And then this one is really interesting. Pinners also had a 40% larger basket spend than those who did not see pins. This one's really interesting because we have noticed that pinners tend to be a lot less cost sensitive. When they're being inspired and looking for ideas and seeing that big picture visualized in front of them, they're less picky about the individual cost of those items because they're not necessarily comparing costs from one item to from one seller to that same item from another seller in such a nitpicky way. They're seeing the whole picture. For example, if someone wants to buy patio furniture from a seller, they're looking at all of the chairs, the umbrella, the table, but then they might also get a cooler to put their food and refreshments in, or perhaps they want to buy some additional lawn chairs to go beside there, or maybe they want to buy table settings for an outdoor patio set. All of these ideas get put together on a board until they really have a vision of what they're looking for, and then pinners will make those purchases. So as a result, we've just seen that they tend to have larger basket sizes and also just larger basket spend in general. So how are ways you can really make sure that you are looking beyond that last click and seeing the full picture of how people are converting? The easiest way to do this is to implement our Pinterest tag. This tracks all of the actions on the path to purchase within Pinterest. We can tag when people are just viewing an item for the first time, when they're actually saving it, make sure you're accounting for all the close-ups and then the actual click-throughs to your site, and tie that all together to see the big picture. And then, of course, try to extend the attribution window to 30-day click at a minimum, 30 days engagement, and a 1-day view. Second recommendation is to make sure you're structuring your campaigns for success. Now that we're bringing in more SEM features onto our platform, we want to make sure our advertisers are setting those campaigns up for success, because SEM requires a little bit of organization when managing thousands and thousands of keywords potentially. We recommend using a hierarchy structure where your campaign is your category and is full of little ad groups that are almost like subcategories, and then those ad groups can contain keywords and pins. So for example, let's say I wanted to have a campaign that was women's athletic wear. Within that campaign, I might have subcategories that are track pants, running shoes, athletic tops. Those could all be ad groups. And then I could have a pin for each of those ad groups, and then have keywords that are really tightly themed and relevant to that pin. We want to make sure that there is good relevancy between the keywords and the actual creative to make sure that we're getting the most out of our campaigns. We recommend no more than 4 ads per ad group, and definitely recommend a minimum of 2 pins, so 2 to 4 pins per ad group. The reason for this is minimum of 2 pins because of the visual nature of the creative. If you put only 1 pin into an ad group, it may resonate well with pinners, it might not. If it doesn't, we're kind of back at our starting point. We don't really have any learnings. We don't know why it didn't resonate well with pinners. Whereas if you have at least 2 pins in your ad group, you can get some directional learnings. People definitely preferred pin 2 over pin 1. What were some nuances about pin 2 that would lead it to have a better performance? And then you can kind of use those learnings to inform your creative strategy over time. We recommend no more than 4 pins because at this time, we don't have the ability to evenly rotate the pins within the ad groups, which means that we tend to auto-optimize pins very quickly. So if you're putting 10 pins into one ad group, we might start to auto-optimize the pins after 4 or 5 pins have served based on surveying data, and really quickly try to serve the one that has the best performance more frequently. And this means that some of your pins may not get any impressions. And that's not an indication of a poor pin necessarily. It just means there were a lot of pins and our system auto-optimized really quickly. So we recommend keeping the number of pins low, but definitely 2 to start with. Some also other helpful tips when building out ad groups. This one can be a little confusing, but we recommend making sure ad groups are not too granular. What is too granular? Many times in traditional search campaigns, advertisers will put only 2 to 3 keywords per ad group because they're really trying to increase that relevancy between the actual keyword and the text ad associated with that keyword. Because our pins are visual in nature, they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. There's a little bit more room to add in additional keywords because we are trying to keep the keywords relevant to the image, not necessarily the text within the image. So for example, if my ad group contains, is for yoga pants, you have the flexibility to increase, yoga pants, athletic leggings, leggings for yoga. You can extend your keyword list a little bit as long as the relevancy with the pin is still there. The keywords don't all have to sound exactly alike. Pinterest also requires a slightly different keyword strategy than most traditional search engines. Something to remember here is that 97% of the volume of search terms on Pinterest are non-branded. This is a huge number. Certain brands are definitely stronger on Pinterest, have a really strong presence. However, even then, all of those brands put together will only account for 3% of search terms on Pinterest. So the volume by nature is low for branded terms. That doesn't mean that you can't include your branded terms in your keyword lists. It just means that most of the volume that you're going to get is going to come from non-branded terms. We don't see that significant of a difference in performance between branded and non-branded search terms either. And that is because people are in that earlier planning mindset. They're looking for ideas and inspiration, and therefore they can be influenced early on and may not have that same level of brand loyalty if they see something they really like. So we really recommend building out your keyword list of primarily non-branded terms. Another thing to keep in mind is that 73% of search queries are between 1 to 3 words in length. Really, we encourage everyone to focus on upper to mid-funnel terms. And this can be really scary for traditional search advertisers because typically on traditional search engines, those head terms are not great converters. It's the long tail terms that really convert well in terms of performance. On Pinterest, because the pins are visual, because they might be extremely relevant to what someone is searching, we actually do see conversions come through on very broad terms. So even though a term seems like it's broad, only 1 to 3 words, upper mid-funnel, because someone has left that browsing mode and now is on search mode, there's still an intent behind what they're searching for, and we see those conversions come in on those kinds of shorter terms. And then lastly, we definitely recommend idea-based terms. If you don't have a single keyword that contains idea, you're missing out on a pretty significant chunk of volume because pinners love ideas and they love saving ideas, and that's something that they're looking for. They're looking to be inspired. To give you an example of the top terms that would be searched for, let's say, home decor and furniture searches, for example, these are the top 20 terms in terms of volume, but also terms that perform really well in campaigns. And as you can see, most of them are 1 to 3 words in length. Most of them contain the term idea. These are the kinds of terms you want to make sure you're including in your campaigns, especially when you start. It's also important to have a match type strategy right off the bat when you're setting up your campaign. Our match types work very similarly to traditional search engines, the one difference being within broad match. Our broad match does also include synonyms, misspellings, related searches, and other relevant variations. When we say other relevant variations, this is hinting at our visual technology. When you indicate that you're okay with serving broadly, it's really a balance between reach and control. Typically, you want to start off with broad match so you can initially get a lot of reach, get a higher volume of traffic, and get some solid learnings on your creatives to make sure that your initial starting point is sound. If you're indicating that you're interested in reach, we tune up our visual recognition technology that basically takes a look at pins and recommends we can serve your pin on related pins as well. So we can take a look at your actual image, compare it to other images on our platform, and then figure out, like, hey, these two images are really similar. If somebody is searching for image A, then your ad will be a really good fit to show to that because it's very relevant. We tune down that visual technology in phrase match and exact match because for those two match types, you're clearly indicating that you want to target people who are searching something very specific. So you're going for more control there in both of those instances and are less focused on the reach. So we tune down that visual technology a bit and allow you to really optimize for performance there. Because of the more control, you're obviously giving away some of the volume there. There is significantly less volume on exact match, for example, than phrase match, and significantly less volume on phrase match than broad match. But typically you see increased performance as a trade-off. We recommend a strategy that actually incorporates all three match types. Definitely recommend starting with broad match so that you can identify the kinds of terms people are searching on Pinterest, as they might be different from what you're used to seeing on traditional search engines. So over here on the bottom, I just have examples of what each of these match types would match out to. And then just wanted to call out that although we have negative phrase listed in here, we do also have negative exact match. It's just a way of blocking out an exact term that you don't ever want to show an ad on. To summarize the best practices, really encourage you to look beyond the last click. It's important to make sure that we are valuing that entire buyer journey, especially since so many people are planning ahead of time on Pinterest. Really recommend that you structure your campaign for success. Making sure you're organized in a way that you can optimize over time is really important. And then it's important to align your keyword strategy to Pinterest specifically. We don't want to put a ton of long tail keywords on exact match right off the bat when you first launch, because your volume is just going to be really low and it will be hard to get learnings initially. And then that also encompasses the match type strategy. Like I said, we recommend starting off with broad. So key takeaways from what I talked about today: Pinterest is all about visual inspiration and discovery. We are trying to reach customers early on in their buying journey. There are two key behaviors on Pinterest to keep in mind: browse and search. And now you can break these out. This was not something that was available previously. And then Pinterest is introducing traditional SEM features through our ads manager to help advertisers capture that search demand in a really effective way. Lastly, when developing your search strategy, it's really important to keep Pinterest's best practices in mind. Our SEM strategies that we're bringing onto the platform are really similar to traditional SEM search engines. However, we do have some nuances as well. So make sure you keep those in mind to make sure you're successful. And now I am going to kick it back to Adrienne.
Thank you so much, Monty. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, this is a pretty meaty webinar, a lot of information. I hope you all feel really armed to go back to your campaigns and think about your Pinterest strategy and start utilizing some of our search best practices and some of the things that Monty talked about. We're already at time, a little past time today, so I just want to quickly plug Pinterest Propel for those of you who have not heard of this program. It's for those of you who are advertising, who are ready to kind of increase your spend and spend more than $100 a day. So you can sign up for this program to get a little bit more support from our creative team and an account person who will be able to help you with customized tips for your business. So if you're interested, you can sign up at business.pinterest.com/en/Pinterest-propel. And just another quick plug before we jump off, we have 2 more webinars this week as a part of the performance series. You can sign up on our business site. The link is here. It'll be provided in the recap that'll come out in a day or so. So if you want to join these last 2, definitely visit this link right now to make sure that you can get included. We'll also have these posted to our Business for Pinterest blog within the next couple months if you missed these. But tomorrow we're going through more on Ads Manager, and then we're also going through optimization tips on Friday. And for those of you looking for some more of the Pinterest basics, I recommend you visit our YouTube channel or the business site to find additional webinars that are more Pinterest 101. But be on the lookout for the recap, and we hope to have you guys join some webinars, potentially these and other webinars in the future. Thanks, Monty, and thanks everyone on the line for joining.